Are you a sports fanatic? You get off on college football, college basketball, the NBA, the NFL, golf, ping pong, and sports betting. Wait, back up. Ping pong? What the hell? This is Jump Shots from the Goal Line.
Watch out! He's got getting away from the top speed.
Hot takes and hilarious banter on everything from college football to the NBA and everything in between, except ping pong. And we're not just flying solo. We're bringing in some heavy hitters from the world of sports. Journalists, players, legends. You name it, we've got them. Why should they have all the fun?
Bryant for the win. Bang!
This is Jump Shots from the Goal Line. Where every episode is a slam dunk. And now your hosts, Jonathan Dugan and John Henningsen.
All right, welcome everybody to the show. I'm just so happy that Henny's on here with a Whitney Houston t-shirt. Things I never thought I would see.
Shout out Whitney. Yeah, dude, I'm a huge Whitney Houston fan.
I don't know about you. I'd much rather see Whitney Houston than P. Diddy any day of the week.
Yeah, that's what the people are saying. That's what the streets are saying for sure. I was like, I didn't know I was gonna get like all my news from 50 Cent for the rest of my life. But however this works, I mean, whatever. I just reading what comes at me.
Dude, you know, like we're getting closer and closer to like the end times when Cat Williams and 50 Cent are like the heartbeat of America.
Yeah,
you know
just truth sayers. Yeah, like they speak truth to power, man. It's like I always knew it was going to be them.
Dude, this whole saga gets weirder every single day, and like I know this is a sports podcast, but like it goes without saying, like P. Diddy, like his son's getting arrested, jumping to an island. Oh wait, guess what? That plane is filled with just like incriminating evidence. He's actually in Florida. Oh, and now guess what? Jay-Z's wrapped up into this. Oh, hey, also Ashton Kutcher met with P. Diddy one time. This is too much to handle. I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, we got, and I know it's a clip of anything right now, and it's like now it's become, I don't know. I really don't know if like it's real or if it's Pizzagate or somewhere in between. I honestly don't know. But you know, it's interesting, I guess, and it's like interesting. It's not interesting if it's like real, then it's kind of gross, and then it's all awful. I guess right now it's interesting until I know more. And I'm just like, what is this? And then you said you clip anything from anybody, LeBron James saying ain't no party like a Diddy party because a Diddy party don't stop or whatever we got going on, and it just gets weirder by the minute. So
and apparently it doesn't.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, anyways, yeah, Whitney just did some coke, hit some blow, and partied a little bit. I don't think it was anything weird. So shout out to Whitney, and yeah, we had the Whitney Houston rocking in the house all the time as a kid. So always still love it.
We had her, we had Tina Turner, we had all of them. You know, R.I.P. to that era of music. So no, I love the shirt, so I had to point it out. I'd much rather sit here and talk about Whitney Houston and that kind of music. But we do have a game to digest. I know we were wrong, right? At the end of the day, if you guys paid any attention to our brackets, I'm sorry. Right off the bat, we are wrong on a lot of fronts. Newsflash, a lot of people are every single year. The Cats pull the Cats. Did they not, Henny? Like they got to the Sweet 16 and they shit their pants. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got to the Sweet 16, which I think is fine. I think that's like par, right? You can mark that down as par as far as I'm concerned from a Cats experience. And I don't really think there's any shame in just being a Sweet 16 team. So I also want to like commend the Cats for, hey, dude, Sweet 16. That's better than most of the schools. It's probably better than the people that are chirping at us at school. Just a guess. But you know, so it's not really the worst to be in the conversation. We're in that, you know, we're moving in the right direction. Tommy's gotten there twice and twice in his first 3 years here, as I get that out. So he's getting there. Where it is disappointing though, and as you say, like the shit the bed part of it is that it is a loss again to a team that I think we were actually clearly more talented than, which I didn't know for sure, having not seen a lot of Clemson this year. But then when you watch the game, it was pretty clear to me that we had more talent on the court, and that's really what's frustrating and disappointing about the loss. Is you
Yeah.
see like piece by piece, part by part, it feels like the things are there to make this work, and there's no reason that they shouldn't have at least been in an Elite Eight. And then the way the thing breaks, you're like, God, we already beat Bama earlier this year, which
Yeah.
isn't to say that that guarantees you go and beat them again, but it does start to break that way. I have some friends that even didn't want to lose in the Elite Eight, thinking that's more painful because we've kind of been stuck there, which is a fair argument. But I like winning myself, so I would have taken one
Yeah.
more personally. But I think that's where it's disappointing. Just knowing talent wise, I felt like we were every bit there. And what was it? 4 for 25. The numbers are starting to fade for me now. 4 for 29, something like that from 3-point range. And you could say it's just they didn't hit shots, but frankly, they had them in the penalty. They had an opportunity to just continue to penetrate. That's what they did to get back in the game time after time after time. And then every time they tried to get over that hump, they would fall back in love with the 3-point shot. And sure enough, Clemson would go on a 4-0 run, a 6-0 run, a 7-0 run, enough to just keep us at bay and ultimately end the Cats season.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the pill that's toughest to swallow for me is like that stupid stat that's going around that like, what is it now? Like 5 straight tournament appearances, or maybe even more, we've lost to a lower seeded team.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, that comes with the territory though when you're like perennially like a 1 or 2 seed, So
correct.
it comes with the territory, but it is tough, especially like, I mean, Princeton was really tough last year, but this team, I truly did believe that they could go all the way. Like they had the cards stacked for them to do so, playing in Salt Lake, playing in LA, which by the way, LA apparently just an incredibly tough place for us to play.
Yeah,
Uh,
we do not do well there.
no, I don't know what you and I were thinking when we were like, oh, it's in LA. Oh,
Well, I mean, the crowd's there. I mean, we see the fans there. It's I mean, it should
historically.
work. We play in LA all the time. It's just be another weekend trip for the Cats, playing that
Yeah.
Thursday, Saturday type of vibe in the Pac-12. So everything makes sense for us to be successful there.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, not so much.
Yeah, it turns out no. And the thing that's also tough is exactly what you're saying, right? Like, I think at the end of the day, Clemson just stuck to their game plan way better than we did. They had a very distinct thing that they were going to go ahead and do. They're going to play through their bigs. They were going to shoot threes, and they capitalized on that. Whereas we, like, if you watched the game, like, dude, I remember watching like Boswell and Pella and a few other guys like yell at Caleb Love, like run the offense, and just watching a bunch of guys on the team just like freaking take 20-foot jumpers for like twos, and like you're saying, all of a sudden they would get into a real groove where they're freaking hammering it into the paint, driving the lane, whatever, getting Clemson in real foul trouble. Like, what did we were like in double bonus with like 8 minutes left or even more.
Plenty of
Like,
time. Yeah. And
insane. Like, when you get to that point, like any smart team will win that game by 30 points, right? Like it's not even close. And for some reason, the Cats were just like, oh, we're in double bonus. Okay, I don't care about that. I'm just going to shoot threes because that's what Clemson's doing. The thing is like Clemson is like any other, like, I don't want to say mediocre team because they made it to the Elite Eight. They're obviously talented, right? But like
yeah.
they're like any other like 6 seed, 5 seed, whatever. Like it's maybe 1 or 2 athletes and a bunch of guys that can shoot threes. Like that's just what a 5 or 6 seed is anymore. And they did that. And then U of A was
Yeah.
like, cool, we're going to do that too. And we aren't built that way. Like all year, our best basketball has been using our athletes, driving into the lane, feeding it to Ballo, like playing off him, whatever. And we did it in spurts, but just not enough. And it bit us in the ass for the millionth time in a row.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious as we talk about kind of moving it forward. Do you have criticisms of Tommy? Do you feel comfortable with Tommy? Obviously, there was a lot of emotions riding high. How do you feel about? Maybe we'll just start there before we get into the players. Just your feelings on Tommy. I'm just kind of curious where you stand. Are you pushing him off the ledge? Or are you just going to jump yourself? Or we're okay. We're okay. It's year 3. No big
Yeah.
deal.
I am not pushing him off the ledge. I'm taking a couple steps back as if I'm going to like push him off the ledge, like if it keeps happening, because like for me, I think the guy can coach, right? Like I think he has a good initial game plan. I think he puts the lineups pretty correctly. I think he sticks with Boswell too much, which that might not be an issue next year.
Yeah.
My biggest concern with Tommy, and I've said it kind of all year, and I've noticed it in numerous games, is two things. He doesn't always have the grip of the team. Like Sean Miller, for example, right? Love him or hate him, if U of A was doing something stupid, unless it was a zone, because he couldn't coach his way out of a zone if it was a wet paper box.
That's what
Um,
Clemson did for the last 8 minutes.
Valid, yes. But he at least had like the grip of the team, right? Like he could yell at him,
Yeah.
get him like out of their own ass. Tommy doesn't seem to do that. He's like too much of a nice guy, right? And he's had that tag for a couple of years now. And I know some people get like annoyed with that, like, oh, Tommy's like, he's not just like a nice guy, it's just blah blah blah. Well, like there's times where you have to be a dick as a coach. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to be
Yeah.
real. And I just don't see Tommy doing that. And because of that, I don't think he's real great at in-game adjustments. Like I've seen it numerous times this year, whether it was like the Washington State game, even the Utah game that we ended up pulling out in like, what was it, double overtime? Like, I just don't see it. Like it's always just some player on the team, whether it's Caleb Love, Jaden Bradley, Pella Larson in the Utah game, like just going nuclear and saving the day, right? And that's fine because like Tommy, the best thing about him is kind of like Sean Miller. He can recruit. Like, look at the recruiting class we have coming into next year. It's like phenomenal. It's so exciting. And I think he develops people pretty well because if you look at Ballo, like Ballo is like a completely different player. Pella Larson, completely different player. But that's the mark of a true coach. I feel like if you're able to make in-game adjustments, get the best out of your team in the worst times. And I just don't see that as much with Tommy. I hope that he develops himself in order to do that. Because if he doesn't, he can recruit all he wants, but he's just going to be like another Calipari or like another, insert coach name here that has a lot of talent but can't seemingly finish anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't disagree with a lot of what you said. I think that's pretty much the common sentiment, around Tucson is like, hey, Tommy, get into some of these guys, and whether
Yeah.
that means like, the show of emotion, which like I think we finally saw his first technical this year at some point, which
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, it's like he's alive.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like the way he restricts guys' minutes. There's been a lot of conversation about like should they have benched Boswell after like the Las Vegas situation. Maybe you just like send a message in that way. And I don't really like worry about that much or think too
Mhm.
much about like his strategy about loving on guys and kind of being have faith in what the guys do and what they preach throughout
Yeah.
practice and letting that flow into games. Like I don't argue with that too much, but I do think back to like, and this is obviously unfair, but like I do think back to Lute Olson, and I remember Salim Stoudemire being suspended basically his entire career. I mean, like whatever it was, it was really just a couple games here and there. But every time, as a fan, as a kid, basically back then for me, I was like devastated when Lute was benching Salim. I'm like, Salim, what are you doing now? But I do
Yeah.
think you have to take a stand in terms of like minutes somewhere along those lines. Now, in terms of like whether he makes in-game adjustments, I think he's a little bit on the side of roll the ball out and like we believe in the system. But I will say in the Clemson game, there was times where they took a timeout pretty late, and again, now we're a week removed from the game, so don't quote me on any of these times. But somewhere around like that 6-minute mark, somewhere in there, they made an asserted effort back to go back into Ballo, like came out of the timeout, like got back
Yep.
inside and ran some different things again. So I think it's there. I think he just then ultimately then is relying on that trust, and it may just be him, learning to be a head coach on the fly. I mean, the
Yeah.
reality is he's been gifted call it what you want to call it. I would call it a top 10 program in America. And that's where he's learning on the fly with. So it's an expensive plane that he's crashed into the ground, but, ultimately, I think that's just what we have to live with. And I think over the course of time, he'll find that balance between, do I interject? Like, do I need to be a timeout guy? Do we need to run sets? Or can we just let the flow of the offense happen? But then, as you mentioned, and this would be a kind of a secondary part, I think everyone's going to recruit well at Arizona, but I also
Yeah.
don't want to take that for granted. And there is a top 5 recruiting class coming in. And I do think, and this is probably a good transition into what you think the roster is going to look like. Morauskas out the door, Philly out the door. So the Euro projects that we were all nervous about, and frankly, I was like, I don't want to do this, are pretty much seeing their way out the door as like guys that are never going to play for Arizona. And you
Mhm.
have, 4 domestic players coming in a top 5 recruiting class. And I assume the transfers are going to look like something different, something similar. So I'm excited about the full transition into Tommy Ball with like the talent that we're used to seeing at Arizona to
Yeah.
see what that looks like.
I like his system. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's
Yeah.
fun basketball. It's very up and down, whatever, right? And I think he had the right guys for it this year. But like the glaring stat for me after the game against Clemson was like Jaden Bradley again dominating, right? Like having a
Yeah.
great
Unbelievable.
game.
He's so good. He was so
Yeah,
good.
great tournament, right? And then you
Yep.
look at the minute splits between him and Boswell, and it's like almost equal. And
KJ
like,
Lewis, so good.
yeah, and for me, it's like I agree with you. You have a little bit more loot in you. Like you got to read the room, you got to read the situation. If Bradley's playing that much better than Boswell, dude, don't play Boswell as much. Like he was a liability in like 2 out of the 3 tournament games. He had the great game against Long Beach. He was okay in spurts against Dayton, but like Clemson, he wasn't very good. Like he wasn't ever like a huge liability, but like he wasn't making game-changing plays like Bradley was. Like Bradley was hitting threes. He had juice on defense. Like he definitely should have
Yes.
fouled out of that game, but like
Yeah.
like he is at least out there hustling. And like I know that's old white man basketball talk, but like that matters in the tournament, dude. And then like Caleb Love, right? There's if you can bench a Salim Stoudemire who's shooting like 50% from 3 when he's at Arizona, and
Exactly.
you have Caleb Love who's out there taking 20-foot step back jumpers, like bench his
One
ass for
footers, a
yeah,
1-footer at one
yeah.
point, like just a virtual runner with 6 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yeah, like bench his ass for a minute or 2 and just get his head back in the game. Like Caleb, like can take over a game in the best
Yeah.
way, but he can take over a game in the worst way too. And that's what we saw.
Yeah.
And I think a coach that wins championships has to have that like mentality of like, all right, I don't care. Like if you're our best player, I'm gonna sit your ass for a minute, fucking dog you out real quick, yell at you, like get your head back in the game and like make a difference, right? And I just don't see that from Tommy. He's just too friendly. He's too much of a player's coach, and like there's great things that come with that, but like this is kind of what it also gets you. It's just you know guys running around like chickens with their head cut off because like there was panic ball for minutes on end during that game, and it was like really frustrating to see.
What I would tell Tommy is definitely like a loot vibe type thing that when you bench a guy, like this whole fan base will be behind you now.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all know you're a nice guy. We all
Yeah,
know you love on the players. The players that are going to be leaving this program are going to speak very highly of you. They're
yeah,
going to say the same thing, and the good guys are going to feel the same way. I mean, there is like a thing where like you're just, like you have that wild card on your team at work, right? And you're like looking at the person who you all report to be like, is anybody going to do anything about this guy like ever, or
yeah,
is this like how we do this around here? Because if this is how we do it, I guess like we'll all just do whatever. But that's why you have to be able to rein these things in, get it under control. And I think like the fan base and the crowd will support him. The same way I think the crowd was excited to see him like get it. I was excited to see him get a technical foul. I was like, all right, dude, this guy's like he's alive. This is
he's in
good.
it.
Like
Yeah,
we want to see it a little bit. Yeah. So I think there is like something to that. Like, I mean, I like that he's composed. I like that he's like not completely out of his mind. I think there's like definitely a world and a lane where he, can fit in, but I think he's just still growing into it. So I look forward to it. I like where the roster's headed. I think I'm a guy that I'm in the camp where I think I'd like to see Ballo back, to be honest. I know there's like some discussion around that, but then there's the risk that you say you might lose Crevis and some of those other things that would
yeah,
maybe change the discussion a little bit. But I guess for those that just like are like, oh, we don't like Ballo he never became. I'm like, what do you think college centers look like?
yeah.
This is what they look like. So
I
like
thought
he's a
he was
plus.
great.
Yeah, he's a plus dude on the court to me. Like he's not hurting you. He's almost always a plus guy on the court. So, but I think with that said, I mean, I assume he's gone, and we're just look to fill I guess it'd be like 4 more spots on the roster essentially at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
You think Kylan's gone?
That's the hot rumor on the street, right? Like if you pay attention to anybody, if you pay attention to that interview he had after the game, where he was just like, "Yeah, me and Coach Tommy are gonna have to talk when we get back to Tucson." That was a little ominous, right? Like, we'll talk about what? Like, you're
Yeah, I thought that was kind of. I don't know. I kind of think it's just like one of those things that gets taken out of context. I'm not really sure I read too
could
much
be,
into that.
could be,
Um,
you
I
know.
would just read into the fact that Jaden Bradley outplayed his ass and
A
like
lot.
clearly and clearly is going to be and should be the starter next year, like unless something like really changes over the course of like they could all come back and like hash it out again. But what I have seen over time is that Jaden Bradley is a better player than Kylan Boswell.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's
dude,
just what it is.
you just look at it from a raw standpoint and you look at like ceilings. Like, I don't, me personally, I like Kylan Boswell. I've liked him a long time. You kind of made fun of me a little bit, on the
Yeah,
side,
but
like, oh, when he was recruited, you were like the most excited guy in the room. Like, I do. I think he's a heady ball player. I think he's good. But like when you look at pure ceilings, like just based off what we've seen, Bradley has a higher ceiling, in my opinion, right?
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
look at last year and then this year, like the guy couldn't hit a 3-point shot last year, or at Alabama, or no, Texas. I'm sorry. Wait, did I get those ones mixed up? It's
Bradley was at
Alabama, right?
Alabama. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he was at
Alabama. Thank
Alabama.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I knew I had it right. Alabama. That was what he struggled with. Was like 3-point shot, right? Guys would leave him open.
yeah,
This year at Arizona, like, dude, he's starting to hit them. Like, if he
yeah.
continues
40
to
plus
work on
percent
that,
shooter.
yeah, if he continues to work on that, dude, like he's got the athleticism. He can get to the lane. Like Boswell, on the other hand, I don't know. I just don't see a lot of room for growth. You know what I mean?
No, it feels very one-dimensional. It feels like he's like either he's shooting that night or he's not giving us much else. Which isn't to say he's like the worst defender.
No.
Like he can bring the ball up. It's not like press is killing him and he's turning it over 20 times. He's not like unplayable, but it was like we just sort of had, Ford Taurus out there all year and we're like, this
Yeah.
is fine. And then like once we actually pulled the Ferrari out of the garage for a little bit, you're like, we had a Ferrari this whole time?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell have we been doing, man? I mean,
Yeah.
like, the Taurus will get you to the grocery store and back, but we're trying to get to a Final Four here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was an interesting development. But I mean, I guess now we know. And I thought KJ
Yeah.
really shined too, and I'm excited to see him get a lot more run because he made it again, just huge impact in the Clemson game. Like for a minute, just kind of single handedly went out there, put the clamps on, flipped the script for a good few minutes, and then again it was kind of like, oh, we'll see if we can work him back in when the rest of these guards are kind of just missing layups, standing around and chucking threes. It was tough, man. It was tough.
Yeah. And what I hope that doesn't happen next year is like, because Caleb's gone, right? Like for sure.
Yeah, he's got
I
to
mean,
be.
this is being labeled as the worst draft classes of all time. So like Caleb has some real juice to maybe like actually get into the first. Um, like what I hope Tommy doesn't do is like play both Boswell and Bradley, like how he did with like Caleb this year. Cause like that's not the answer either, right? I hope KJ gets like a starting position next year. Or hey, maybe even one of these like stud freshmen comes in there,
Yeah,
next year. I mean, we got the kid from New Hampshire. He looks really good. We've got a few players that like
yeah. Sanan
should
seems
be.
to be like the one who should be. Even though he reclassified and he's actually going to be the youngest, everybody seems to be the highest on him as like a guy that could actually start.
Yeah, exactly. So like we got some real juice at the guard position again. I just hope, Tommy doesn't just punt and like start both Bradley and Boswell because like I don't know, man. That's gonna be boring. Just start Bradley. Boswell, to be honest with you, if he'll buy into it, would
Yeah,
be a great backup point guard. Like that is
yeah.
a
If that's
great role for
yes,
him.
100%. Like if that's the role and he wants to like come in and own that, or goes back over summer and completely, rethinks his game and like dedicates himself. Because I don't. I mean, we hear all the whispers. I don't really want to like say what's true or what isn't, but it sounds like he might have had other priorities at times. So maybe he does get
Yeah.
back in there and we can, clean up that 4-star or whatever. But it's just, yeah, I'm with you. I'm just give me Bradley, give me KJ. I'm like, if Kylan wants to come back and he's like into it, like cool. But I definitely don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be in that trap where we're playing in minutes just because we feel bad or whatever.
And that's what
That's
it
a
felt
that's a
like this
bad
year.
place to be. Yeah,
Yeah, it just felt like Tommy was always trying to like, all right, well, if I give him minutes, maybe he'll get over the hump, and
yeah,
like you you can do that during the regular season when you're playing like a shitty UCLA team or like Oregon State. But when you get in the tournament, dude, you can't. You gotta ride the hot hand, and Tommy didn't really do that. You know. I have a question for you though before we get off the Cats. I had this conversation at work, right? And like we talk about blue bloods, and like traditional blue bloods are like your Kentucky, your Duke, your UNC, your maybe even Indiana, Michigan State, Michigan. But like modern day blue bloods, I have two questions for you. Is Arizona a modern day blue blood? And two, who would be like your modern day Blue Bloods?
So modern day last what 25 years?
Like we'll just go, this century. So starting from 2000.
I think that's like tough. I mean, I do think I think look, the success Arizona has had, like holistically, like if you look at conference titles, if you look at conference tournament championships, there's only going to be one Final Four in there, which is annoying. There's going to be though still like 3 or 4 Elite Eights in
Yeah.
that. Certainly a number of Sweet 16s. So I think they're certainly like in the conversation. Yeah, as a blue blood, like it's just depending on how far you want to extend that list. I definitely think they've been like a top 20 program still over the last 20 years,
You can
which
think
is
of
why
like
I still,
you can think of like brand too, right?
yeah.
Like
And like
national
guys that are
brand.
getting paid in the NBA. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, that
yeah.
also matters. Like, right? Like Gilbert Arenas matters. Richard Jefferson doing dick and fart jokes on NBA broadcast is like, it matters.
Aaron
Steve Kerr
Gordon.
being the face of, an organization, outside of Steph, really matters. And so like, yeah, like all of those, yeah, Aaron Gordon in the dunk contest. Like, yeah, all of those things matter. So yeah, I do think Arizona is in like that blue blood type of conversation if you were to look at a modern view of it. I think a
Yeah.
lot of the teams you mentioned are still in it. I think like Indiana, no.
Mhm.
Michigan maybe because actually like I don't think of them as an old school blue blood, but they've had some pretty good success in the newer era. So maybe they're in like the conversation. Gonzaga obviously in the conversation. They're on like whatever it is, Sweet 16, number 9 in a row, 10 in a row. I feel like
Yeah.
I keep messing up the number, whatever the stat is. It's pretty incredible. Obviously, Kansas stays. UNC
UConn.
still relevant. Duke still relevant, and then UConn has to be in there. I mean,
Villanova.
obviously, Villanova's in there now. Yep, I'll
Yeah.
put them in the top 10.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. What was the conversation like? I mean, did you have, was there doubts about it, or is everybody
Yeah.
pretty firmly that we're in the camp? Or
It was like 50-50. Like some people would be like, yeah, I totally think that Arizona's a modern day blue blood because you think about like the brand, you think of, we're consistently in the tournament. We usually go pretty far. Like Sweet 16's kind of like the bar. We pump out NBA players. We're always relevant. We're always in the conversation. Most years we usually get to like a number one ranking at least for a little bit.
yeah,
And that's the camp I side on. I think they are modern day blue blood because when you think of college basketball, if you ask even somebody on the East Coast, like, hey, tell me like the top 5 teams that are always in it. Arizona is usually in that list, I think, right?
for
Based off
some
the people.
reason, one of those bastards is going to say Oregon, and they're not even sure why. They're like
Yeah,
Oregon. They wear cool uniforms, right? Are they good?
yeah,
And
yeah.
like they are solid, but like they're weird. But I'm just saying, I don't know. Their
Hmm.
marketing's really good. But I think dude, we had the streak going forever, right? Of like most streak, longest streak going into the tournament as I was going through it. I
Yeah.
think it finally ended sometime during the chaos after loot, the transition there. I mean, I don't really see how we couldn't be. I mean, just the fact that the national media is talking about us as choking this weekend, right?
Yeah.
If every time we lose, we choke, that tells me you have expectations of us, which tells me we're in the conversation, right?
We're part
So
of the narrative. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, the blue blood thing's always funny. Like, and I think all the big heads in college basketball will tell you, like, I think Titus does a good job of like telling you kind of how stupid blue bloods is. Tate Frazier does a good job of explaining, like,
Yeah.
what is this with the blue bloods? And so it's like fun to play around with. But yeah, I mean, I think so. Like, we're in the conversation, as you mentioned, part
Yeah.
of the narrative.
Yeah, and like the other side of the table would just be like, well, we haven't won one since 97. Like,
Yep.
we consistently fall on our face. We're in the Pac-12, blah, 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 right? And like I get that too. Like being a West Coast team, it is tough to be nationally relevant, but some way, somehow, like Arizona kind of does remain nationally relevant. I mean, look at the beginning of every college basketball season. We are always ranked. Always. Like I can
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
lifetime, I
Always.
can think of like 3 times we haven't been preseason top 25. You know
And I
what I
bet you
mean?
one of those times we still made a Sweet 16.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
So I
Yeah.
wonder though, like if you were to do like a top 5 of the last 20 years, who's in your top 5?
I'd probably do this wrong, but like it has to be Kansas.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in order, by the way.
Yeah, but it has to be Kansas. I think it's really hard pressed to like keep Gonzaga out of that. I really do.
Yeah,
Um, it would be hard to say Kentucky's not in the conversation, just given how
That's
prolific
3.
they've been in putting in pros.
Yep.
And then I think the other ones you mentioned, like UConn and Villanova, especially if UConn gets it done again, it's almost going to be impossible to ignore them. And then Villanova, certainly under Jay Wright, was pretty ridiculous. Those are probably the 5 that really jump out to me, but that's, it's probably being disrespectful of Duke a little
Duke,
bit. It's probably being
UNC.
like it's being disrespectful of some other schools. So it's a hard game, but I mean, those are probably the 5 that feel right to me
You know who I was thinking of right now that hasn't been as
off top.
relevant the last, 10 years, but, dominated the first 10 years of this, century was, Florida.
Yeah,
Florida
Florida
won
was, yeah,
Florida was dominant.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Al Horford, Joakim Noah years, oof.
yeah. They went back to back. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a tough question, huh? The top 5,
it
blue
is.
bloods,
There's
because you
so
could
much
throw
ebb and
UConn in there
flow.
too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think UConn is in there. Like, I don't know how you really keep them out because they've had those runs, even if
Yeah.
they haven't been as sustained excellence. And the other part I'd say about Arizona, and they're not in the top 5 in this conversation, but I do think they start to, again, they show up in that top 10 part of it. You have to remember ESPN tried to kill our program. So, first of all, fuck you, ESPN, with a hard fuck you. And so that's also a big part of it. So I just think that the fact that they tried to this is what we've been dealing with. So we had to reshuffle the deck a little bit, but as you can see, we're back to top 5 recruiting classes, and we're going to be in the conversation year after year again. So if we weren't in the last 20 years, buckle up for the next 20. We'll be there.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Final Four real quick, right? So we got UConn just demolishing teams, going on 30-0 runs, Donovan Clingan looking like a potential number 1
Yeah,
pick. You have Alabama, which holy hell, who would have thought, right? You have Purdue, Zach Edey getting every foul call in the world. And then you got DJ Burns and North Carolina State, dude. We sat here and talked shit about conference tourneys, but I guess, every once in a while, conference tourneys can start a fire, right? Billy Joel
yeah.
said it best, right? We didn't start the fire, but what are you looking forward to for tomorrow, man? Fun starts
80s
tomorrow.
heavy music podcast. I mean, I'm just looking forward to more Burns, man. Just give me more
Yeah.
DJ Burns. That's what I'm having the most fun watching by far. That's who I'm rooting for at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I will take no joy in a UConn championship. I will take much, much less joy in a Purdue championship. And Alabama, come on, you won football. You don't need
Yeah.
anything else. You got plenty of nice things.
Yeah.
Plenty of nice things. So for me, I'm just I'm an NC State guy now. This is our version of the Valvano run, right? This is it's our turn to watch NC State go wild through the tournament, and I think that would be a lot of fun. Outside of that, I mean, certainly I think UConn's dominance is fine. I think it's acceptable because you're well, they seem to just really have it going, and so I could accept that. But and I think probably if we put our hats on again and go through this thing, I think we both kind of knew UConn would be the pick. But
Yeah. That's who was
but
my
it sure was
original
a fun
pick.
ride, wasn't it, bud? It was a fun ride. uh, but yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see more Burns. I honestly I don't know that I've had so much fun watching a guy in the post. It just takes me back. It just really does. It just reminds me of I loved post basketball. As a kid who's never scratched above I'm 5'8" probably at best, right? And
I'll give you that.
but
Yeah.
watching, but yeah, I mean that's what the shoes on do. They measure with the shoes on, and and as a kid, man, I love that post game, right? I whether it was Jordan in the post because he later in his career kind of went into that high post. Whether it was watching Akeem the Dream, whether it was Barkley in the post, all of those guys was all post game. I loved it, and so it's just fun to watch it again.
You also like that he's a lefty, don't you?
I love that he's a lefty. Lefties look sweet, dude. I mean, look, it just looks a little bit better.
Yeah, no. He is a fun story because he legitimately changes the entire flow of the game. Every time DJ would go out of the game the other day, they would not even be close to the same team. Soon
Yeah,
as he would get back in there, dude, their
yeah,
offense was humming. Cause he either gets a double or he's making the right pass or he's just doing the damn thing on the block, dude. It's so cool to see. And his
yeah.
footwork is gorgeous, bro. It's insane. the way that he can like scoop it up and finish, the way that he can just go over the top. I am interested to see like what goes on with Edey. What's that whistle going to be like? Because
Yeah.
I watched the Purdue and Tennessee game, and like there are a lot of calls that he gets, but there are not a lot of calls that go against him, and there should be, right? Like even on offense, homie's like chicken winging everybody. I don't know if you've noticed that. Edey
Oh,
is chicken winging everybody.
yes, 100%.
And then
He's
on
at like neck and eye level.
yeah, and then on defense, he doesn't get called for anything. He's definitely like the poster child of the NCAA right now, which is weird.
I know.
And I also really want DJ to do it because the post game interviews with Edey were so gross and cringe, where he talked about everybody doubted me. He like started talking about Rick Barnes doubting him. Like, what the hell? Like Rick Barnes? Really? You're gonna go at Rick's head? Like, come on, dude. And like nobody doubted you. You're a 7'4" center out of IMG. Like, calm down, you know. So I would love to see DJ go in there just for pure vibe's sake. But I do want to see what the whistle is going to be like, because DJ does attack the post. Like that's his whole game. And Zach definitely has the height advantage, but if he can bait Zach into, you know, with a few fakes like you see him do,
Yeah.
Zach could get in foul trouble. Now, granted, DJ gets in foul trouble pretty easy too. So I don't know. I just hope for, you know, look, the new King Kong and Godzilla movie just came out. That's what I'm hoping for on the court. So
Yeah, it is. I'm excited for that matchup. I do think like one way or the other, Edey goes down to one of these centers, like one of these, because I would expect UConn to come out the other side.
yep.
Like I don't expect Alabama to do that. So I do think you might get two really good Edey games where he's going up against head to head against a big time center. But yeah, I hope Burns gets it done, man. I know he's going to be sucking wind like he always is on the defensive end, just standing there. Because like,
I
look,
can relate.
guys putting in work, and he's, he might not be conditioned exactly for the run that he's on, but he's doing the damn thing and he is getting it done. So I look forward to it. It's always hard for me once the Cats go out, and which is like when we talked about at the beginning, right? I'm like, this is the best thing in the world. Like, I love this tournament. Cats lose, takes a little wind down on my sails, get a little bitter. Don't really want to watch the basketball as much, but generally, this is what happens by the time we sort of recharge the batteries and get ready to go for Saturday, leading into Monday. I can gut it out, get back into it, and just enjoy the games for what it is—a championship level competition.
I'm for sure looking forward to tomorrow. I wasn't. If you would have asked me on Sunday, I would have been like, I'm never watching college basketball again. But like, yeah, dude, I can't wait for tomorrow. And
Saturday though,
selfishly,
right? Saturday, Monday. It's got to be Saturday, Monday.
I thought it was tomorrow. Like I thought games were tomorrow. Which when we say tomorrow, if you're listening to this, that would be Thursday.
Yeah, you got to be
Thursday
lying to
the
me.
5th. Dude, if it's tomorrow, I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's not going to be like it's been this way for about 100 years. I'm old.
No,
I have all these things dialed
I
in, man.
guarantee that you're right. Yeah, you are right.
4:37 p.m. kickoff for Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
dude,
Buckle
you're
up,
listening.
Arizona. Yeah.
Let's be real. You're all listening to this on Friday anyway. So, you know what I mean? No, yeah. So Saturday, you're completely right. When we're golfing, by the way, like right.
Yeah, we can throw the game on the speaker, man. That's all good. You can listen to the sounds. I mean, I've had Steph Curry, knocking down three-pointers with Bream going bang on, over the speakers on the golf course before. So, not afraid to do it again.
No, definitely not. And that's going to be the matchup that we're looking for too, is that Edey Burns matchup. Well, we're just, hitting bombs on the fairway. So, yeah, dude, it'll be fun. I selfishly wouldn't hate a Klingon Edey matchup because that would be really, really fun. 7-2 versus 7-4. But, I want to ride with Burns as much as I can. So, cool. Well, that's the tourney. After that, speaking of golf, great segue. I didn't actually mean to do that, but the Masters is coming up next weekend. What do you got your eye on, man?
My eye, like I think the rest of the golf world, is squarely on Scotty Scheffler. And I probably said this a lot last year as we went through the majors season. But look, the guy's hot. He's already won like 2 tournaments in the last 4 starts, whatever it may be. I might be off one there. He was close there in Houston, but didn't get it done. But won in the Palmer Invitational, and I'm going to miss one other one here. But the guy has been Players Championship. Took that down as well, and he's just been rolling. I mean, he's I think plus 500 on a lot of them. Like not that betting odds matter, and we don't talk about gambling here because University of Arizona is like so interested in having us on. But but just like as a betting favorite, like he truly is, and it's like some of the best odds you really have seen since probably the likes of the Tiger Woods days. Although crazy fact, like at some point, Tiger Woods was minus 125 to win a Masters one year.
Insane.
This guy's plus 500, and I'm like, yeah, I think this guy's going to win. Like he's so far and away better than everybody. Tiger Woods minus 125. I mean, that is stupid. And they said 12 times he actually had better odds over his career to win the Masters than Scotty Scheffler does. And I don't remember seeing a number like this. Like that's what I'm saying. You just don't see numbers like this. So, and sports betting wasn't like nationwide back then when Prime Tiger. So I wasn't really, never was even a thought in my head. But absolutely crazy. So I think like all eyes are on Scotty. As you and I talked about a little bit previously, I think there's still some of that residual. We're starting to even hear, like I saw a nice little quote from Bryson coming from the Live Tour, which to me was just hilarious. He's talking about like, man, we got to bring these golf's like kind of fading, man. We got to like bring this back together. I'm like, dude, you're the one who broke it up. Like, I'm like, and now you're acting like you don't know how to fix it. And like, I can't feel bad for you guys. I cannot feel bad for you guys. So that's ridiculous. I did see Justin Thomas left Bones. So for those of you that are diehards, Bones, big time caddy, their relationship is broken up. So there's plenty of good storylines. Rahm obviously coming back to defend his championship. I do think his menu looked highly respectable. Who doesn't like tapas? But I mean, just from the Masters, I'm ready to go, man. I know we got a big interview Monday, and I'll start to dive into this a bit more, but the vibes are out there. I'm hoping the rain's done here. We'll see the sun this weekend. Like you said, we get to go swing the sticks, and you'll see everybody starting to rock the green out there. Everybody's starting to get into the flavor and the momentum of it. The azaleas, all of it. Bring it.
I'm looking forward to it though, man. I hope they build on the momentum from last year. Even though like the whole, like you said, the whole live PGA stuff is kind of like dying down, especially with like the, quote unquote merger. Like the simple fact of the matter is like Scotty is like the favorite, but the defending champ is now on the live tour because he went for the money. And frankly, part of it, I think, is he just got sick of all the PGA's bullshit because they don't tell the players anything. So that'll be fun. Brooksy played out of his mind last year. Let's see if he can come out and do it again. Phil, same thing. Phil kind of shows up for these kind of events. And let's see what, everybody's favorite golfer in the UK does, Rory McIlroy. God, I hate him.
I know I actually need to send you that, but that's like probably one of the most popular memes going around is like explaining sports gambling. If you bet $100 on Rory at plus 800, you lose $100.
Yeah, I think Messi sent us that.
Yeah. Simple math. It's real simple math for you folks out there gambling. I would not count on Rory, although you never can really count him out. I am with you in that I don't understand quite the gushing over him at such a high level. He's obviously a very good player, but I think it's a lot of just, he does a lot of things for show, but ultimately, dude, you got to win. You got to win big tournaments, and certainly, the Masters is arguably the biggest. And so for that reason, I expect Scotty to very much do his damn thing. But I'll start to dig into some numbers, listen to some folks, see if there's some. It was a long time. It was kind of a lefty favorite course. Now it seems to, it's been changing, and they manipulate it year over year. So it's always a little bit different. So curious to see what the numbers kind of. I haven't gotten into the numbers yet, Dugan, to see what it is. Like, should we be looking at driving accuracy? Is it a putter's course still, like it's always been? So we'll dig into it more if we get time next week, and if not, just enjoy it.
And let's be real, we all know this. Like, some way, somehow, in the top 5, it's gonna be some rando that like you maybe have seen on a leaderboard once all year. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's just the game, and that's why we love it. So. Quick question though. You and I've talked about this on the side, but you win the Masters. What's on your winner's dinner the next year?
Yeah, that's tough, man. I think like just given like normally the flow that people go with, I'd probably go with like a very heavy Mexican theme. Like I'd want to represent Sonora. You know what I mean? Like I would want to probably throw as much of that flavor in there. So that probably means like a ribeye though, still with like a serrano pepper next to it, a poblano. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like throw some. Like we can still make sure we get our nice cut in there, and we can have a healthy piece of halibut or whatever the case may be. But I wouldn't mind having I wouldn't mind seeing charro beans there. I wouldn't mind seeing some.
A Sonoran dog.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a Sonoran dog might. Yeah, I don't know if we got to stay a little more upscale for that, but
No,
I would.
no.
I certainly wouldn't mind watching those guys, choke down a Sonoran dog. It would make me laugh.
What did Bubba
Uh,
have at his? Like, didn't he have like hot dogs?
He might have. Yeah, I think he did kind of like stick to his like country flair and roots. So there's a part of me that maybe goes that way. Like, I mean, I would love to see mac and cheese, no doubt about that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'd have to give that like a little more thought to really like outline an entire deal. But I
yeah.
think just from like a representation standpoint, I'd like to see some Mexican food up in there.
I like that going regional. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, dude. For me, I'd probably go some kind of barbecue. Probably some
don't
brisket.
hate that.
Yeah, some brisket or some really good pulled pork. Maybe some ribs. I don't know. Just probably
That all
brisket.
danced through my head. Don't think it didn't. Like as I was like saying Mexico, I was like going brisket. Like it's passing
Yeah,
by. Like so,
I
I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with that either.
I'm probably going brisket, some kind of beer. Obviously we have other drinks if beer's not your thing. Go with some good cornbread, like some honey cornbread. Some I need some kind of spice though, so maybe like a spicy mac and cheese, like a jalapeno mac and cheese to
Yeah,
go with it.
jalapeno mac. Yeah, let's get
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
something good like that. Um, I'm a big fan of like grilled veggies, so maybe something like that,
Yep.
just to class up the joint a little bit.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and then for dessert, just some kind of pie. I think I'm a pie is much greater than cake guy. Cake is very mid. Give me some pie. Maybe you can even go a la mode. I'm not a huge a la mode guy, but like just some kind of pie.
Yeah, long-standing argument for me about Mexican food is that like dessert is actually the only area where they fall flat.
Yeah, churros are not
Never
great.
been on flan. Like churros are fine. Sopapillas like are nice, I think, but like none of those beat a pie. So
Yeah,
I'm with you. Might have to just throw a pie, and everybody at the end is like, "What happened exactly?"
yeah,
I thought there was like a theme here. You had fish tacos and charro beans, and then there's like a little bit of a you could get a red meat option, and then suddenly now we just have a rhubarb pie or something.
yeah.
Really
Dude, my
throw them off my scent.
my favorite memes are the ones like you win the Masters and your dinner the next year is like a gas station hot dog, a Monster Energy, and like a pack of Zins.
Yeah, yeah. See, that
Like,
always plays too. Like I mean, keep some Mountain Dew, Chip.
yeah. So no, I think it's a fun discussion. I'm looking forward to the Masters. I don't watch a lot of golf tournaments during the year. I'll usually watch like that one, catch a little bit of the FedEx, just a few others. But Masters, I for sure tune in, and it's always fun. So, and speaking of that, hey, like you said, we're gonna be swinging the sticks this weekend. We'll be for sure taking our tasties. Cannot wait to throw that bad boy in. Have a little bit of lemon lime. We got the cinnamon johns. We got a few different flavors because, hey, let me tell you, at the end of the day, Tasty's has taste down to a T, and they're a lot better than just throwing in some dip or anything like that. A lot more refreshing. They're usable. You can take it hole to hole when you're done chewing on it. Throw that bad boy on the ground, tee it up, and let it fly because Tasty's has it down. Can't wait to use them this weekend. So, other than that, man, let's get down to Twitter fingers. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So if you're not watching this on the YouTube, do us a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. It's a lot of fun. You get to see our beautiful faces that we just so lovingly present to you. But we're going to go ahead and share some of these tweets. So the first one I got up, some guys just want it more, built different. So it came out, Tiger Woods is making preparations to compete at the Masters tournament next week and taking drastic measures to ensure that he's ready to play. He's focused, says a friend of the 48-year-old golfer. He's working really hard in the gym. He's eating right. He's even eliminated sex. He does that now when he's preparing. No sex until the tournament is over. He doesn't want anything to take away from his focus. Let me tell you right now, Henny, if you can get a guy like Tiger Woods not to think about sex, the man's locked in.
Well, the thing is, like, if you start eating right, if you're Tiger Woods, it keeps you out of the Denny's and the Perkins, and the waitresses aren't around, and it's just like one thing takes care of the other, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I read the last part, and then I'm like, I'm not even sure this quote's real anymore, but but nonetheless, it still gets me excited. You could give me a fake quote of Tiger Woods, or show me one practice shot that goes well, and then I'm excited about the possibility. Because trust me, if this man's in it on Sunday, there's a good chance I'm just like crying on Sunday like I did the last time he won, where I'm like, why are there tears coming down my face? Like I didn't even know I loved Tiger Woods, and I knew I loved him, but I didn't know I loved him.
Yeah.
So this just gets me excited. I'm just glad you shared this because it just gets me excited. Just seeing the
Yeah.
man gets me fired up for golf.
I'm worried about his body for sure.
Yeah, of course.
And the other thing I'm worried about is just his new clothing brand, because I'm gonna tell you right now, that logo that we're seeing right there, it's not great. Let's be honest. What is it? Sunday Red or something like that?
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's like, yeah, it's like Sundays, but I don't think the Tiger itself looks bad. Yeah, I guess this will be like, I guess we'll see what he pulls out this weekend. But there's something about seeing Tiger and the Nike. Like, it's just like when you see Tiger and then you see the Nike logo. I mean, I still say this, like the Nike golf balls, I don't even know if they were ever any good. I'm sure you can look back and read reviews, whatever. But I know I just felt better when I looked down and I could see that little check mark, the little swoosh there. And I was like, dude, I'm an athlete. I mean, I got this. Madeline, what's up?
Yeah, a little
We got a
cameo.
star in the building.
Welcome to being a parent.
First
All
cameo.
right. Yeah, she was supposed to be in bed, so this is going to be a great conversation after I'm done here. Let's go on to the next one, though, all right? This is one you sent from Aaron Foster. We love him mutually. Listen to Macrodosing all the time. Apparently, he got a free membership to X.
Yeah, if you were on X or on Twitter tonight, I guess they're all back. I mean, not all of them, but basically everybody's getting a check mark. I think most people are mad about it now because now it's basically if you have a check mark, it's like you're a loser who paid. So now Elon's just out there handing out free check marks and just outing people as losers is the way it's being framed currently. Ultimately, this will sort itself out, but I'm glad we've come full circle and we're right back where we started. Great job, Elon. Just keep doing everything you're doing. You're nailing it, bud.
Where the hell is our freaking check mark, though, dude? I don't want to pay for it.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, how many more followers by millions do we need to get this thing going?
Yeah, how much do we have to multiply our current Twitter account? All right, next one.
Forgive me if any of those coughs are getting in there, guys.
So, as you can see, a student being blown over due to a massive wind while trying to get to the University of Kentucky campus. And this guy had a great comment. This student was subsequently charged with a foul on Zach Edey.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, I mean, he is like officiated in a unique way, and he's just a weird bodied guy, like not to like pick on it. I'm not no body shaming here, but he's just like a funky guy to determine what's going on. But
yeah, it's just odd, dude.
Is it really this windy in Kentucky though?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm like, was there a tornado that we didn't hear about?
Yeah, I was like, that looks serious. I mean, I know what the joke is, but damn.
Yeah. So this one got me. Turns out this was a total April Fool's joke, but it did tickle my fancy. I wish this would actually kind of happen. Breaking: PGA and Live to host a Ryder Cup style match this summer at TPC Sawgrass, as it will be the first productive step thus far in the merger. First reported by Matt Berry of ESPN, who said it'll be a yearly thing from now on. Even though this was like definitely a April Fool's, this would hit. I would like this. I don't know about you.
So my takeaway from this is, one, you guys should know that like your boy Dugan football can absolutely gotten by April Fool's. So this guy's sending trash to me all goddamn day long. And I don't know if he's trolling me, if he's trolling himself. I have no idea what the difference is. I'm like, stop sending me these bad, unoriginal jokes. I'm so tired of everyone trying to give me breaking, all caps, April Fool's. You suck. Secondarily, Matt Berry from ESPN sucks.
That's what you took away from it.
Yeah, the guy just absolutely sucks.
April Fool's is easily the worst day of the year. Like the worst.
Like that's what I mean. I can't even get on Twitter. Like I hate Twitter that day. Yeah. It's awful.
You cannot get on Twitter. You cannot get on like any kind of social media and if you're slick about it, which like most of the time I am, like if you look at the handle, you can tell what shit is fake.
Right.
Exactly. But some of these guys are good enough that they make the handles pretty convincing. And like you're just like, holy crap, dude, And like this one did get me. A few of the other ones I sent you very obviously fake. But like, dude, it just like the one I sent you, It was like something stupid about the Suns, like
Bill
Drew
Self,
Eubanks. You know,
Drew
yeah, Bill
Eubanks,
Self.
Bill Self retired, Drew Eubanks cut, making room for Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
I think the Drew
Some
Eubanks one was like the first one beginning of the day that I was like, this doesn't seem right, but like maybe like we really
yeah.
do. I was like, Suns fans are really down on Drew Eubanks, so I mean, it seemed somewhat plausible.
Yeah. And even the Bill Self one, because we talked about it, he was just so checked out. I was like, oh well, maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
I know. And you're like, hey, sometimes these guys do just dip out, so it is
Yeah.
possible.
Screw April Fool's Day though.
Yeah.
Can we just stop it, please? Here we go. Talking about our boy DJ Burns. Jim Nagy, this was confirmed not to be an April Fool's joke. Got text from a GM, assistant GMs, and college director within an hour of posting this on Friday night. NFL interest on DJ Burns is a real thing. Dude, DJ Burns lining up at the 5 tech on defense or like left tackle,
Oh
right
yeah.
tackle, that could be a real thing. Like for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and like with the soft hands, like I mean, maybe he's just positionally a tight end or like a red zone threat, type guy.
He a big boy, bro. You need to throw him on one of the lines.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You just make him a goal line tight end and occasionally work in that threat. I mean, he's so athletic.
Slim
But
him down a little
yeah, I
bit.
mean, either way, look, you're right. He looks like he has the skill set in the body to do anything in the NFL, honestly.
Yeah, you're telling me if he did decide, hey, let's go ahead and declare for the NFL draft. Let's, throw a workout out there. As an NFL team, you're not willing to throw like a 7th round flyer on a guy like that? Like, look, I mentioned it earlier. The guy's footwork is sick. Like, granted, that's on a court, but a lot of times that kind of it's transferable, right? Transferable. Like, he can at least move. So you're telling me like taking a guy like that that's almost 300 pounds, throwing him out on the line, that's fun. Like I'd be willing to do it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In the 7th round, sure. I mean, I assume he'd be an undrafted free agent. You bring him into camp and you see what's up and see if he actually, has that dog in him with the pads on when someone wants to hit him in the mouth. But it's definitely interesting. He definitely he's just one of those guys where you see the body and the skill set, and you're like, it would be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this tweet here. I sent it to you. 7'4", 300-pound Zach Edey.
Yeah.
It's Tiger. 6'9", 275 DJ Burns. We got the other goat there. I don't know, man.
John Daly.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the
For the
legend.
listeners.
Yeah, John Daly, Hooters legend. I think Daly definitely is a great comparison for DJ Burns. I don't know about you.
I mean, just like a vibes check. Yeah, it feels right. You know what I mean? Like
Pure
just vibes check. It feels like that.
Yeah.
Did you see the clip of like Rich Eisen though, like asking Burns, like, when did you get the weight? How'd you put that on? And he's like, excuse me, sir.
Dude,
I was like, we got to ask him nicer than that. I mean, I don't know, like, what are you asking him?
I saw one quote by DJ where he was like, "Yeah, I grew up wanting to be, like a LeBron or like a Melo, whatever. And the older I got, the more I just started to look like Zach Randolph."
Yeah, big
Like,
Zebo vibes. There like really is that for sure.
oh, for sure, dude. I mean, definitely taking you back. I love it. All right, next one. I'm gonna tell my kids this was DJ Burns versus Zach Edey. It's your boy Zebo right there. So
Zebo and Yao, and that's a pretty spot on. I don't have much to say about this, but it's accurate.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Like it's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Speaking of our boy, this is just a big DJ Burns podcast right now. But
Yeah, you just spam the shit out of DJ Burns.
You want to be a boss, you got to pay the price. So that first on froze, like a bag of ice. I'm trying to really been taken like all of my life. I'm in that thing shit.
Dude, how do you not love a guy like that?
Hey, we're full send on DJ Burns in case you aren't catching on. Like, yeah, we're backing it. We're part of the pack now.
Yeah, let's go pack, dude.
I resist the temptation to howl right there.
He definitely catches me as like the Zebo personality too, because like my favorite quote by Zebo was when DeMarcus Cousins thought he was hot shit, and they were standing at the free throw line, and then Zebo looked at him and said, "In my hood, bullies get bullied." I'm like, I can see that from DJ a little bit for sure, Cool. Let's go to the next one. God damn this one. Kansas City Chiefs, Rashee Rice suspected in connection with major accident in Dallas. And of course, Chiefs, Jayhawks, Royals goes, Rashee Rice's interpreter was driving the car. I love that. Hey, more you can mix sports, the better.
The Reishi Rice stuff, the more video comes out, the just worse it looks. I have no idea how you crash, a Lambo truck or whatever it was, and a Corvette. Apparently, like it seems like more and more each day is associated with both of them. And then they just think that for some reason, if you just walk off the freeway, it's all going to work out fine.
It's all good, baby.
As everybody sticks their phone in your face, I'm like, dude, what did you think was going to happen here? But I guess like shout out to all of the guys playing dynasty leagues who have Hollywood Brown. I don't know. Because like it's just not looking good for Reishi right now. Like I just this is not looking good.
Pretty bad, yeah. Love the tweet though. For the boys, you sent this over to me. Can you see that? Can you read it?
Yeah, I can read it. So I was playing FIFA 19 with some random dude online, and he was using this headset. Which shout out to Charles Fenton. I know you're loving this headset. He was using his headset and probably forgot to turn it off. So I was leading 3-0 at halftime and heard him say, if I win, you sleep over? And a girl replied, yes, but you won't win. He's like, I had to let the bro win 5-3 for the culture.
Boys being boys, baby.
Yeah, and I just, I just love it. Hey man, that's respect.
Yeah, that's guy law, absolutely.
Yeah.
For the boys. Another one that you sent over. We put this out before the 2023 season and it served us well. What needs to be added to this before the 2024 season? If you want to go ahead and read that.
Yeah, so Sickos Committee, if you don't follow them, huge college football account, essentially, right? Just huge college football account. They do great work. I presume the guy that accused Virginia basketball of being Iowa, football equivalent. Like that guy's a Sickos Committee guy, right? Like that's like who we're dealing with. But basically, they have in this house, we believe like the Sun Belt is the fun belt. Play more bowl games. Never kick a sad field goal. Punting is winning. Great teams cover. Hawaii is the nightcap. Weeknights are for the MAC. Run the triple. Let the band play neck. All football is good football. My question and the reason I sent this is, what are we missing here? Because personally for me, it's run or throw the wheel. I mean, everybody knows the wheel route's the best. Like you got to throw that damn wheel, man. When you see that back clear on that back or on that backside, you got to throw the wheel. So that's like for me, I want to see run the wheel on this T-shirt. But is there anything else that they're missing? I just curious if there's anything that like jumps out at you.
Never punt on 4th and 1. That'd be a good one. Even though it's dying, Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of Pac-12 after dark, but it's just like I think everybody's like, you got to still put it on there. I think I don't know what to do, but you got to do it.
Yeah, trying to think if there's anything else I would add. They have.
I just like that we got to talk about college football again. Got me excited again. Yeah, they have like some form of MACtion on there. It says weeknights are for the MAC. It should say MACtion. MACtion would be better, but but yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. Good examples of stuff we would add. Another one. Speaking of Diddy, report former Syracuse basketball. Yeah, former Syracuse walk-on Brandon Paul, allegedly a drug mule for Diddy, arrested on drug charges. My God, dude!
It's just 75 stories ago. I sent this before the Harvest Moon.
Yeah, I know. Diddy's been like on his island since then. So if you don't know what Brennan Paul looks like.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I regret not sending the one with his picture.
Let me
because I don't know why the picture just makes me laugh too. Yeah. But I just it's so funny to think that you're a walk-on at Syracuse and end up becoming a drug mule for Diddy. We're just like, what happened? I mean, what happened?
Let me go ahead and share the picture.
I think this is worth the ad. I think you're right. I think this is absolutely worth it because it's just I know why Diddy picked him. So unassuming.
Just look at him. Dude, he's even got the slash to the eyebrow. I mean, my man's
that's the only thing that's how you know you're a good agent, man. TSA's top agent at Dugan football. Catching the slash in the eyebrow.
Yeah, dude. What's
you're
weird
dude, check him.
I remember his name for some reason. Am I just that much of a college basketball sicko that I know who Brennan Paul is?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of Syracuse has its way of because of all the journalists, has its way of getting out there. So it doesn't surprise me that somehow this guy might have snuck into the back of your subconscious there.
Yeah. Or am I thinking of Brandon Paul from BYU, the guy that wasn't allowed to, fuck?
Oh yeah, because he's it could be that guy, and that still can't believe that was a story and a thing at a time in my life also. But that
Yeah.
feels like the same time that this story came out at this point. So
Here we go. Dorks online getting mad at Caleb Williams' pink phone have A, no knowledge of the iconic history, B, never felt the touch of a woman. We got Cameron, bro.
and that's Cameron, baby. And yeah, like, and if you don't know about Cameron and the color purple, which I did not plan this, but I'm very happy to be wearing the color purple, and my girl Whitney especially right now, because I really feel like I'm repping it, because I've always been a fan of the color purple. I think in part specifically because of, like, I have to credit the Diamondbacks, the Suns,
Yeah.
but I definitely in part because Cameron made purple cool. I also accepted purple as very cool. And just to go back to the Caleb Williams thing, like, if you were picking apart this dude for this, you are a dork. You're an absolute nerd. You're just like
giant nerd.
Come on, dude. I mean, like, he's out there just this is weird adult behavior.
Yeah, is confidence gay, fellas?
Yeah,
Weird.
that's like what you have to ask. Like, is it? Yeah, that's exactly. That's like, I don't know, dude. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. It kind of makes you want to ask.
Yeah, he came out after that too, and
Yeah,
I shouldn't say he came out. Wow, people are going to
yeah,
get the wrong
maybe.
idea.
Yeah, well,
he released
back it up.
he released a video after the fact where he showed that his nails are in fact not painted. He was not wearing lipstick. Did throw in the line, but your mama likes it or your girl likes it.
Yeah, your girl likes it or something like that. Yeah.
The phone is pink though, but you know what? Like, dude, Cameron was a entire pop culture icon during our childhood. Member of the Diplomats. If you don't know who the Diplomats are, go educate yourself.
Yeah, do your homework, kids. Do your homework.
Yeah. So hey, the guy's just who he is. Yeah, Dipset. Let's see. Yeah, we got a couple more. So we talked about Trump being the club champion last week. If it'll let me click on it, there we go.
Yeah, we always bring our guy. I think Trump's normally our excuse just to get tasties in the show, but we, sometimes he just makes it.
Oh, he shanked it. Oh my god, I got that on video.
And just an absolute beauty from your club champion off the hosel. Look, we've all done it, but I don't go around claiming to be no club champion either. I just looks a little sus. Looks a little sus to me.
Who amongst us has not towed the club once or twice in their life? All right.
Podcast might not get a lot done, but I do have an entire subplot where I'm going to convince America this guy sucks at golf. Follow for more.
And then you got Sean Merriman. Let me go ahead and share the video. Wait, I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube. Let me turn the volume down. Here we go.
A little too much Khalifa there. What you get here, and again, I'll just I'll give a little narration for those that are just listeners. Great training video. Russell Wilson dropping back. Someone overlays it with Madden. He's just throwing picks. It's just picks, and it happens to be the Chargers, which unique choice. But he's throwing pick six after pick six. They're taunting his ass. Drop back, fake, pick, to Wiz Khalifa's black and yellow.
John, did you make this video?
I did not make this video. Sean Merriman did put this though out. And
lights out, baby.
Just good to see him, and I just love that he was like, "All right, come on, man, who made this?" But it gave me a nice little chuckle.
Yeah, and that's all we got this week, man, for Twitter fingers. But hey, good week of sports. We got even more coming. Like we said, we got the tourney on Saturday. We got Masters next week, and just letting y'all know, if you didn't see our social media announcement, we're keeping the Cats news and interviews going. We got legend of the game, self-proclaimed. We love it. We love the confidence. We got Tremaine Bondurant coming on the show on Monday, former Cat from 2011 to 2014. You and I have talked about it. Like, Tremaine was definitely one of my favorite players to watch. Just an absolute ball magnet. Was always around the ball. Just had that swag to him too. I'm excited. Monday, 7 p.m. Arizona time. He will be on the show discussing his time at Arizona, but also what he's doing today here in the Tucson area. I know you're excited, John.
Yeah, just like a name that always stayed with me, a player that I certainly haven't forgotten about, and then played on some rosters of some teams that had a lot of success and just a lot of interesting and unique guys. We'll see what we can get out of him in terms of stories or experiences from that. But I'm really excited just to get to know him, hear about his experiences. My understanding is a little bit of overlap between Stoops and Rich Rod, heavy on the Rich Rod though, and just curious to see what his experience was like, because that goes back and it's scratching a lot of part of some really good Arizona memories for me. So excited to have that conversation and dig in with Tremaine for sure.
Yep, and then I'm pretty sure it'll be the week after that. We'll have my good pal Jordan Wagner on the show. Was very close to the Alabama football team from 2012 to 2015. Has quite a bit of stories that you're definitely going to want to tune in to hear about. Going to be spilling some tea, some locker room tea. It's going to be fun. Saban era just ended. It's going to be interesting to hear what goes on behind the scenes. So be on the lookout for that in a couple weeks as well. Guys, we're trying to bring you as many guests as possible. But the only way that we can do that is if you keep, blowing us up, if you keep making our brand look even better. You guys have been phenomenal. We've grown our social medias quite a bit. Our listenership is way up. We're able to do a lot cooler things, but without you, none of it's possible. So do us a favor, click that subscribe button on YouTube, hit that follow button on social media. Go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button on Apple or Spotify, and share the show too. Leave us a 5-star review. It helps us beat the algorithm. But ultimately, it's down to you guys to just share the show, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell whoever you know that loves sports, loves pop culture, that we're a podcast that you guys listen to and that you love us. And we would love to have even more interaction on these lives going forward. You got anything else, John?
No, I mean, help our algorithm while you help yours. We're not doing conspiracy theories. There's no real Diddy news. I mean, I know we did talk about it tonight, but keep your algorithm clean, right? Nothing weird. No one looking over your shoulder. You don't have to be worried. It's just good old wholesome content over here from Jump Shots.
That's right. But hey, man, I look forward to seeing you out there on the course this weekend. We'll be bringing the tasties. Who knows? Maybe we'll take a video or two of me doing just a horrific tee shot and throw it on the social media. So if you're not following us yet, you're going to want to for that.
Just what the tasty brand needs.
All right, y'all. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the Final Four, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Have a good one. Bye.